Hey heathens! When I was doing Genesis 1 and 2, when we talked about the creation, right? And we talked about the word day. In the first day, second day, third day, all the way up to the seventh day, which would be the Sabbath. Now, Genesis paints a very literal picture of this being a 7-day event. Okay? And your fundamentalists agree that it is a 7-day event. The earth was created in 7 days. The earth is 6,000 years old and whatever. And I'm going to ignore those people for right now. So before all you guys get stirred up, it is. I'm not even worried about you right now. I'm here to talk to the more sane people who actually understand that the earth couldn't possibly be 6,000 years old, but are trying to find some kind of way to justify Genesis. Here's what they do. They say that the word day doesn't mean a 24-hour day, despite the fact that it mentions the morning and the evening were the first day, so on and so forth. They say that the word yom, which is what is used in Genesis to be translated into the word day, could mean things like eon. So it could be a period of time. It could be a, who knows? It could be any number of things. They also use another verse which says that a day is like 1,000 years to God. So maybe each day is 1,000 years. The eon thing, or a period of time, could mean anything. It could be 1,000,000 years, which has its own problems, but we're going to ignore all of that. Cabain even says that it has nothing to do with an actual day. It's simply a proclamation, and that this is the first I'd ever heard of that. I don't know if I've never heard anybody else go along with this idea that the day is a proclamation, but that's what he says. Okay, Genesis is not supposed to be literal. It's a metaphor. It's yom means long period of time, whatever. Okay, however you want to think of that. I want you to look at something. Sure, you shouldn't take my word for it, but maybe you should listen to a guy named Moses. Would you take his word for it? Is Exodus also metaphorical? Is it also not to be taken literally? Are we not to believe Moses when he said that God spoke to him? Are we not to believe the Bible when it says that God gave the 10 Commandments to Moses at Mount Sinai? Are we not to believe that God spoke to all the people there at the mountain, and they heard him speak? Are we not to believe that Moses saw the burning bush, and God spoke to him through the burning bush? Are we not to believe all these things? I want you to turn your attention to Exodus 19. Now, I was going to wait until we finished the Genesis series and moved on to Exodus, but feeling feisty, so we're going to go ahead and do this one. In Exodus 19, it talks all about the Mount Sinai event, where God speaks directly to Moses and delivers to him the 10 Commandments. God spoke to Moses and told him what to tell these people. He told him what to put on the tablets. Now I want you to turn your attention to Exodus 20, verse 9 through 11, where we talk about the Sabbath. Now, I've often used the Sabbath as an explanation of how this day doesn't mean a day is crap argument, because if you say that the day doesn't equal a day, then and it means periods, that means that he made the earth in 6 periods, and then we're supposed to rest for a 7th period. If it's supposed to, a day equals 1,000 years, that means we're supposed to take 1,000 years off. Here's what I want you to pay attention to. On verse 9 of Exodus 20, it says, 6 days shalt thou labor, and do all thy work. But on the 7th day is the Sabbath of thy Lord thy God, and in it thou shalt not do any work, thou nor thy son, nor thy daughter, nor thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. All right, re-emphasizing what I said before. 7 days is supposed to be the Sabbath. So if if Genesis was not a literal translation, the 7th day kind of has an issue. But let's say that that's true. That is simply a representation of the work week. Then explain this line. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the 7th day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. Why didn't God tell Moses that it wasn't a real 7 days? Why does Moses, pretty important figure in the Bible, not understand that it's not a real 7 days? He talks nothing in here about it being metaphorical. He talks nothing about it being a representation. He says nothing except that in 6 days the Lord made heaven and the earth and the sea and all that in them is. It's pretty self-explanatory the way I see it. So, to all of you who try and say that a day doesn't equal a day, tell me why Moses lied. And since you have your own version of what day means, why should, and I'm going to tell you not to take my word for it, why should we take your word over Moses? Something to think about. But again, don't take my word for it. Think for yourself.